Hello everyone, ViDoc number 2 out here in the wild was released earlier today, so let's break it down for the good stuff. So right off the bat we see this kind of enemy here. It doesn't really fit the Cabal, the Fallen, or the Vex enemy types, but it does look very similar to a Hive-like enemy. I don't know, just something to look at. And here we get a nice little shot of Venus, and moving on. Now, right before we get to the new HUD, just take a second to look at the Black Garden. It just looks fantastic. Looks amazing. Okay, so now let's take a look at the new HUD. It's a little different than the old one. Just a little bit. Just ever so slightly. The main thing is being this third ability slot, which I will talk about later. The only other thing is that the radar cone is slightly smaller compared to the old UI. They quickly go through a bunch of new guns in a first-person perspective, and I've slowed it down so we can actually get a good look at them. We can really get a good view of the customization options available to us. We see scopes, the barrel of the guns, silencers, obviously the color, the ammo counter, and even what looks like to be the stock of the gun. Beyond this, there's probably even more customization that we don't even know about yet. And later they go through some more guns, but these guns were at E3. They are Duke Mark 44, Conduit F3, the Silver Dollar, Yallarhorn, Closing Time, Sanctuary No. 2, and Monitor S11. We get a little bit of clarification here about the 3-weapon system, the first weapon being your assault rifle type weapon, the second slot being your special slot for the in-the-moment situations, which I have translated to be, those close-range situations where an enemy's right in your face, and the final slot being your heavy weapon slot for just doing some crazy damage. They continue to reiterate the seamless matchmaking system, but we know a lot about this already. There will be no sort of menus or notifications when other players are in your immediate area. It will just happen. Now, we finally hear the words competitive multiplayer from Bungie. In this screen, we can see what looks like the game type name, which is Rumble, which sounds like a team deathmatch kind of game mode. We see some names down here. This could either be teammates or the other members of a player's fire team. The reason I don't think it's the enemy is because this person's name does not show up down there. And in the midst of all this, we see this character use a shield ability, but we don't know which class is using this ability, nor do we know the name. Unfortunately, all we hear on competitive multiplayer are literally the words competitive multiplayer. So we're gonna have to wait a little bit longer to find out what the deal is. Before we get into supers, there are a couple of PvE, player versus environment screens, Bungie briefly goes over, but sadly, there really isn't enough info out there yet to determine what is really going on besides a boss fight. So let's get into supers, which are basically these really strong abilities that each class gets. We finally learn the name of the Hunter power-up move here, which is called Golden Gun. Golden Gun appears to give either one-hit kills or an incredible amount of power per shot, much like the Golden Gun in GoldenEye from N64, which grants a one-hit kill, which is based on the 1974 Bond film, The Man with the Golden Gun. It appears to be duration-based and not shot-based, as in the Golden Gun buff lasts a certain amount of time. The next ability is called Radiance, and I believe this one belongs to the Warlock. If we look at the other two abilities the Guardian has in this screenshot, this one has the exact same from the E3 reveal. It just looks like a giant damaging attack, but with the name Radiance and its white and yellow appearance, it wouldn't surprise me if this also heals or revives friendly teammates. The next ability is the Fist of Havoc, which is the Titan ability, which we already know about. It is a giant AoE attack that also knocks back enemies. And finally, they mention Nova Bomb here as well, which is another ability we already know about for the Warlock. They call this a super, but I thought this was just a regular ability considering it is equipped in the E3 demo as a non-super. But then again, Supers were not a thing in the E3 demo, we didn't know they existed until now. Speaking of abilities, based on these icons, I think what we're looking at here are the Titan's abilities. The icon in the super slot looks like it could resemble the Fist of Havoc. This ability could easily represent a dash ability for the Titan, and this, well, come on. It's a grenade. That about wraps it up for the ViDoc. It was not an information explosion like I was hoping, but it was still cool to learn about the supers, which was probably the most informative section. What was your favorite part? Were you disappointed, maybe a little bit? Let's hear it. Thanks for watching, everybody. I will see you later.